I do not remember the last time I came down to Miami Beach. It has been months. The traffic wasn't too bad, and I actually found a relatively good parking spot really quickly, so I feel like this trip is going very smooth. But the reason I'm down here is because I'm visiting a new cosmetic aesthetics clinic for the very first time, and I think I'm going to do a treatment that I've never done before, Sculptra. So I'm going to take you with me. I say I think I'm doing Sculptra because originally when I signed up for the appointment, they invited me in for a complimentary treatment. And I thought, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to do microneedling with PRP. Since I've done 3 treatments of microneedling with radio frequency, I was really happy with it. But then I started to hear some really great things about Sculptra and I changed my mind. So who knows? I'm not really sure what I'm going to get done, but we're gonna check it out. It's brand new. It's called JECTNYC. The main office is in NYC, and then they just opened Miami Beach, and I think maybe 1 or 2 other locations as well. So let's go. I think this might be one of the prettiest clinics I have ever visited. Everything is so beautiful. Just a little numbing. This will probably sit for 5 to 10 minutes. We're gonna do a little Sculptra back here, a little bit down here, just to add a little contouring, a little more structure to the face. And I'm hoping it's going to help lift this area a little bit. So we're not gonna input anything in the nasolabial folds, but that's my big area of concern. So I think the cheeks will look really refreshed. We're gonna do probably only 1 vial, and it's gonna be really conservative, just a little fresh. I'm gonna look like I've had 20 years of sleep. This is immediately after the Sculptra injections. We also did some massage, and you can tell my face is looking a little bit puffy, which is totally normal because we injected fluid into the face. So my homework is to do my own massage at home for 5 minutes, 5 times a day for the next 5 days, really work the product into all of the tissue so that I have the most amazing end results. And I'm so excited. A little red, a little puffy, but no bruising, maybe a little bruising over here, but really nothing that bad. I'm excited. I cannot wait to see the final result. I cannot tell you how excited it makes me to see fresh blooms. And I've been pruning and just watching every YouTube video I possibly can to learn how to keep them alive, because that is now my life. Good morning, everyone. It is a new day. My face is feeling pretty good. As you can see, the redness is completely gone. I do have a bit of soreness around the injection points. So up here, the cheek is a little bit sore, like right here is very tender. And then down along the jaw, it's not too bad. It's mainly the cheeks. There's definitely still some swelling going on, but that's okay. It's to be expected. And I'm going to give you the full debrief as I do my first massage of the day. I'm going in with this Skin Fix Barrier Triple Lipid Peptide Cream. I'm gonna do some moisturizer at the same time. My initial impression of the new JECTNYC location was that it's beautiful. It's very aesthetic. It almost feels more like a relaxing day spa than a place where you would go for injections. And from what I can see on their website, all of their locations are really beautiful. They have a couple different offices around New York City, West Hollywood, and then now Miami Beach is just opened. I really loved my provider, Morgan. She was amazing. I would highly recommend her. She was very gentle. And I really enjoyed our initial consultation because when I got there, I honestly wasn't 100% sure that I would be a really good candidate for Sculptra in the first place. So we started talking. I basically laid it all out there for her. I told her all of the treatments that I've done recently, things that I've done in the past. I asked her so many questions about all of the different treatment options, and she agreed that I would be a good candidate for Sculptra. So one of the cons of Sculptra is that it's irreversible. Unlike a traditional hyaluronic acid filler, which can be dissolved, you cannot dissolve Sculptra. So once it's injected, it's there. The results can last, I believe, up to 2 years. There's no takesies, backsies, so you have to be really confident that it's something that you want. Leading up to my appointment, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and another con that has been sort of circulating social media recently is that a lot of doctors are saying that if you have Sculptra treatments, it can lead to complications later on if you decide that you want to do a facelift. It's not that you can't get a facelift in the future. You just have to communicate with your plastic surgeon that you've had Sculptra done, and it could make things a little bit trickier. I am not due for a facelift, not considering a facelift. That's not something that is on my radar whatsoever, but it's still good to talk about it, and I asked the question. The clarification she gave me was that years ago, Sculptra was not as diluted as it is now, which led to a lot of those complications during a facelift. But now, injectors will dilute the product a little bit more. That way, when it's injected under the skin, it goes in much thinner. That and doing these deep massages help to break down the product so that you don't get any fibrous nodes beneath the skin. Unlike hyaluronic acid filler, you are supposed to massage the area, move it around, manipulate the product as much as possible so it really gets into all of the tissue. She said you cannot over massage, you can't massage too much, but it will give you the best results. So I'm committed. I think the massage is helping with the soreness as well. The more I massage, the less sore it feels. And even though I'm a little bit sore now, the actual process was not painful at all. There's an initial prick, which if you do Botox, Dysport, whatever you do, neurotoxins, you're used to it. And then whenever she was injecting the fluid, which looked crazy, I was so freaked out while I was sitting in the chair. I'm like, what did I sign up for? I couldn't feel it at all. I didn't end up with any bruising, so there's basically no downtime. If I wanted to, I could apply a full face of makeup today and go about my business, which is really nice. You don't see results right away, so it's going to take probably a full month until I might be able to see something. It basically stimulates your body's natural collagen production, and that's what gives you any noticeable results. So it's going to vary person to person depending on how your body responds to the treatment. But if your body starts producing a lot of collagen in the cheeks, the temple, and down here along the jawline, it's going to help snatch and lift all of those areas naturally in a very subtle way. It's also hair wash day, so I'm going to apply an oil mask to my hair and let this sit while I work out, fold laundry, do a couple things around the house. And I've been using this whip hair oil. This is the Work in Progress Feel the Light Crown 11 hair oil. It's my friend's brand. It smells amazing. And I've used it a couple times. I love the way it smells, almost like honey. It does a great job conditioning the hair, but it also shampoos out really easily, which I love. It doesn't leave any heavy, oily residue on the hair once it's clean. I try to do an oil mask every wash day, but at least once a week. I'm gonna throw it up in a clip, and this will sit in my hair for probably around an hour, just while I work out and get some stuff done around the house. After that, I'm doing my everything shower, and I'm getting ready for the day. I'm now 5 days out from the treatment, so no need for any more facial massage. I think everything has healed beautifully, no more soreness. And I am testing out some new makeup today. I have this new Urban Decay foundation. It's the Face Bond waterproof foundation, up to 24-hour wear. I've heard a lot of chatter about this foundation, and I sunless tanned a little bit last night specifically for this because the shade they sent over is 15 light medium warm. I think it might be a little bit too dark, but we're gonna do our best to make it work. I'm working from home today, and then I plan to run some errands later on, so we're gonna do a full wear test of this foundation. It has 3% niacinamide, can't feel coverage. It's supposed to be self-setting, water, sweat, and humidity proof, smudge and transfer resistant, no powder needed. I am probably going to do a little setting powder today because I've been using a new powder technique and I want to share it with you. Even though it's meant to stand up to humidity, in South Florida, if I'm leaving the house and running errands, I am definitely using setting powder. So I'm going to use this foundation today, but I think I'm basically going to do the rest of my makeup exactly the same. I think that will make it a little bit easier to tell if this foundation is really great or not. The biggest feature I've heard a lot of people talking about is the bottle itself, not even the formula. It has a patent pending no mess, no waste dropper. So this dropper is supposed to be completely mess free. It's very teeny tiny. And I did squeeze out a little bit on my hand just to test the shade. That's how I know this might be a little bit too dark. Another cool thing about the dropper is because it is so small, you can be super precise with how much product you squeeze out. Unlike a foundation pump where it's kind of hard to do a half a pump. You know, sometimes you end up pumping out too much foundation. This makes you start with the teeny tiniest bit and then you can just add a little bit more, add a little bit more. The only thing I have on my face right now is skincare, a little SPF, and a lip mask. I'm not gonna do a primer. I'm just gonna go ahead and go straight in with the foundation. Before we blend this out, I quickly pulled up the Sephora app just so we can set our expectations. So this foundation is meant to be lightweight, waterproof, with the skincare benefits of a serum and self-setting powder for a blurring effect. Medium coverage, natural matte finish, and it is, of course, a liquid. So let's see. So even in the few seconds it's been sitting on my face, it did already start to dry down. Good to know for next time. You're going to want to work quickly with this foundation. But I do think this is the best brush. I'm glad I picked up this brush. This is my Sephora Pro Foundation 56. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I was fully expecting to hate this foundation just because it's self-setting, matte, natural finish. I sort of thought I would hate it. I don't know if I love this color match, but when I look really closely up at my skin, it looks so natural, like really, really good. I cannot see it at all. I think it helped that I didn't apply too much product. See, that's the good thing about that little tiny dropper. Now it's looking a little splotchy because I don't think I had enough product and it started to dry down so quickly. I didn't get to blend it out everywhere. So I am gonna go in with a little bit more, but very, very initial impression is that it looks really good, but I think this shade is just a little bit too peachy. I need maybe the closest shade to 15, but in a neutral undertone instead of the warm. The warm might be a little bit too peach. It doesn't look terrible. Okay, let me just pick up a little bit more just so I can sort of fill in the gaps, like back here. And I am sort of unintentionally building it up a little bit on the cheek, but that's okay. It's pretty light. I could see this formula working really well blended out with fingers. I'm not sure it would work nicely with a sponge or any sort of fluffy brush. I don't think that would work. I think you need something a little bit dense like this that helps you stipple. That way you can sort of press it into the skin. Sort of reminds me of maybe the little sister of the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless foundation. I also like that you can tell that it is dried down on the skin, but I don't think it looks too dry. Now, if I did struggle with dryness, I'm not sure how this would look. Like it is clinging to a couple dry patches down here, but that's just my skin is a little bit dry down there. But everywhere else, it looks really nice. Like this area, I have visible pores on my cheeks, but I think the cheeks look really smooth. I'm gonna warm up my face using my Say Beauty bronzer. I'm almost done. I don't need much on the face. I definitely need to blend this down the neck today. And when I'm out running errands, I may try to run into Sephora and just look at the shade range and see if there's anything that would be a better match for me. I am sort of curious. If you watched my review of the Charlotte Tilbury fragrances, I have some updates for you. So the day after I filmed my initial review and unboxing of the Discovery set, I chose my top 4 favorites: Love Frequency, More Sex, Joyphoria, and Cosmic Power on my arm, my hand, all 4 on my body just so I could try them on the skin and let them dry down and also wear them for the day. And my husband came home from work later that day, and so I was also asking him for his opinion. And we both agreed that Cosmic Power was the best. It ended up still being my favorite the next day after wearing it on the skin. It was my husband's favorite as well. Joyphoria was my second favorite. But the issue with Joyphoria, and I think that one is definitely my style, a very summery, warm, solar, fresh floral, it's so light. That was probably the lightest one. It did not last very long on me. I don't know if it's just the notes of the fragrance, but unfortunately it had disappointing performance. So I'm not sure I could really recommend it, even though it smells great. And even my husband said, "Ooh, that smells really good." But it was just so faint by the end of the day. The strongest of all of the fragrances was More Sex, but as it dries down, it really just smells like suede. It's not something that I would ever go to wear myself. If I ever wore the fragrance, I would have to layer it with something else, and for that reason alone, it kind of steers me in a different direction. And then Love Frequency ended up being a little bit too earthy. I thought it was one that I was going to love. It comes in the pink bottle. My husband immediately said, "No, that's too strong, that's too smoky." But I think what he meant was earthy because it has a patchouli note. And I think the patchouli is really strong once it dries down on the skin. So I ended up not really loving that one as much as I thought I would. In conclusion, my favorite is still Cosmic Power, but I'm not sure if I moved enough to purchase a full bottle. I definitely need a little concealer to help brighten and balance out the color on my face. I've been going in with my Pat McGrath Labs. Tried and True. Definitely one of my most restocked concealers. This might be my 3rd tube and I'm almost done with it. It's been a few days since I showed you my hibiscus plants, and unfortunately we've had a lot of leaf issues, a lot of yellowing leaves since then. They're still doing okay, they're alive, but for some reason I'm getting so many yellow leaves. We've had a few days of really strong blooms. It's so funny, my camera roll is now all pictures of my little hibiscus. Anytime there's a bloom, I always take a picture. It's become part of my morning routine. Every day I wake up, I make coffee, and one of the first things I do is I go out front to take a look at my beautiful hibiscus plants and see what they have going on. It is a lot of fun, but I have a feeling this might become an expensive hobby. This is how I've been applying my setting powder for probably the last week, 2 weeks, and I think it makes a really big difference with how my makeup lasts throughout the day. Also how it photographs in pictures. I'm not sure this is something you have to do on a daily basis, but I've just been sort of playing around with it and I really like the way it looks and I can see a huge difference. So I go in with a very small brush. This is Real Techniques 402. I think they have a name. The setting brush. It's very small, and I just pick up a little loose setting powder. And I always like to make sure that all of the creasing is gone. So if I do have any settling into the really, really fine lines right below the eye, I will always sort of tap those out with my finger or go in with a blending brush first. But right beneath the eye, I take that brush and I just do a very light coat of setting powder, just to kind of keep all of that in place. That looks perfect, very smooth and flawless. And then I've seen so many people use these sponges, and I was just sort of curious one day and I played around with it, ended up really liking it. So this one is from Huda Beauty. It's one of these, is it velour puffs? You can probably pick them up on Amazon for really cheap. I think every brand under the sun now has something similar to this. So then I go in with my powder and I sort of bake. So I'll pick up a little bit more than usual. And this is where I go along my nose. So right in this area. And see, I've talked a little bit about my pores right here. My pores in this area are a little bit larger, more visible, and I feel like when my face gets a little shiny, that's when you can really notice it. So this area right here by the nasolabial fold, I never want that area to get shiny, and it tends to get shiny throughout the day. So I'll always sort of bring it down here and just sort of press a little additional powder in this area, and then I'll kind of bring it back up here as well. But I really want to focus down the bridge of the nose right here for extra brightness, and then right in this cheeky section. And I am going to let this sit on my face for a little bit. Bring it down, get the cheek. It looks like a lot. It is a lot. You're just going to let this sit, and then we're just going to dust it away at the end. So it's not like I'm applying all of this powder and then I'm going to press it into the skin. But I just want that to just sit and absorb any excess oil. This is when I fill in my eyebrows and finish the eyes, so I'm going to quickly do that off camera, and then I'll come back and dust that off and finish the face. I'm back. Eyes are now basically done. With a fluffy brush, I'm just going to do my best to dust the remaining powder away off the face. I always make sure that while that's sitting on my face, I don't move very much. I'm basically just sitting there doing my eyebrows, doing my eye makeup. I want the powder to set everything, and you can kind of feel the powder drying out the skin. I know that sounds scary. It's really not, but that's why I want to make sure that my face is sort of stone. It keeps the makeup from budging from where it currently is sitting on the face. To add a little color to the face, I'm going in with my new Rare Beauty blush. This is the shade Happy. It's the slightly luminous blush. This color is so pretty. And with this powder technique, I'm definitely going to use a setting spray at the end of my makeup, which I haven't been doing. I've been using setting spray in the middle of my makeup when I blend out my concealer, but I don't typically set the makeup at the very end with setting spray. With this new powder technique, I am going to use setting spray at the end, just to hold everything in place, but it also just refreshes the makeup a little bit. That way it doesn't feel dry. I'm also going to very quickly add a little powder bronzer. This is the old Dior bronzer. I didn't pick up any of the new ones because I still have this. It's the Dior Forever Naturally Bronze bronzer. I have 05 Warm Bronze. As you can see, I have finally hit pan, and there's a giant crack through the center, so I feel like I have to be really careful. You know, it's only a matter of time. Once you hit pan in the center, the outside just sort of crumbles into a million pieces. But for now, I'm still able to use it. I'm just lightly tapping in there. Just a little bit on the forehead. A little on the jawline. Just blend everything together. I believe I am basically done with my makeup for the day. Final step is a few spritzes of the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I've gone through so many bottles of this. It is hands down my favorite setting spray. Very first impression, I have not left the house. I just finished my makeup. I think the foundation looks really good. I could see how this might not be for all different skin types, but I think if you have normal skin, definitely if you have oily skin, combination skin, I think you might really love it. As long as you find a good shade match, and even I was able to make it work even though it was a little too peachy. I added a little bronzer to my shoulders, definitely dragged everything down my neck. But when I look closely in the mirror right now, I feel like my makeup went on like butter. Everything just looks so smooth. I think the cheeks look really great. The under eye looks so smooth and flawless. I swear that powder technique works. If this area has glow or shine, it just emphasizes all of the texture and pores. So if I can keep this area matte, everything else looks fine. I don't care if there's glow everywhere else on the face, just not the inner cheek near the nose. I got a later start, so it's 11 o'clock right now. I'm gonna work from home for a few hours, and then I'm going to run my errands. So I'll do a check-in probably later in the afternoon, and I'll let you see what this looks like in natural light out and about.
the sun, you bring the sunshine. I can feel it, that you are the one, oh baby, be mine. I can feel it, like the rays from the sun, you bring the sunshine. I can feel it, that you are the one, oh baby, be mine.
I just got back from running my errands and running to the shops, and I'm going to finally end this video. It is now 8 o'clock on the dot. So this makeup has been on my face now for about 9 hours, and I have not touched up. I did touch up my lip. I added a little lip gloss before I sat down, but I have not blotted. I haven't powdered anything else on my face. I haven't touched it at all, and I have to say, I think it looks really good. I'm so impressed. I would have bet you money earlier that my chin was gonna look a mess by the end of the day. And if I really exaggerate my face, yes, I can see the makeup starting to break up, but only if I really exaggerate. Just kind of looking straight, the skin still looks fine. No dry patches. It's not really clinging to dry patches. I definitely don't have any additional creasing anywhere. The under eye looks great. This area on my cheeks managed to stay pretty matte. I think the powder application technique, along with the fact that the foundation is very matte and self-setting, I think both of those contributed. Where I see this fitting into my foundation rotation would be either as an everyday foundation or maybe a daytime event. I think that could look really pretty. Maybe an evening event. I think maybe I'm not giving it enough credit. It doesn't contain any SPF. You're not going to get flashback. It doesn't have a heavy cakey coverage because it is so thin the way it goes on. If you live in a hot, humid climate, my fellow Floridians out there, if you're looking for something that's transfer proof, budge proof, something that's really going to stick on your face and not smudge around throughout the day, this could be the answer. I think it's really good. And that completes today's vlog. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned. Everything on my face will be in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.